this epic disaster, welcome to the last podcast of 2020.
Guess what day it is?
It's Christmas Day, sir.
It's Christmas Day today.
I don't think we've ever recorded a podcast on Christmas Day, have we?
I don't think so. I think we did like a live thing one year, for Facebook Live for like 10 minutes.
Actually, I wanted to do a live thing on Christmas Eve, and then we didn't.
No, we did a lot of things last night, though.
No, we didn't do live. I just feel like no one, and people are going to be like doing their family stuff.
Right.
No one's going to.
Who's going to get on Facebook?
Like, hey, wait a minute. We got to stop our family gathering so we
Yes.
can watch this epic disaster on Facebook Live.
Kids, stop opening
It's
presents.
so exciting.
It's time to
They're
watch
probably going to talk a little bit and
about butts.
then maybe drink some beer and then it's over.
Right.
So let's stop.
Let's do that.
Might be the last Christmas with Grandma, but I don't care. We're going to watch this epic
It could
disaster
also be the
live
last Christmas with Rick and Sherry.
on Facebook. I hope not. It might be. Who knows?
Who knows?
Should we keep doing the podcast?
Of course.
Okay.
Even if we just do it for ourselves, like, honestly, it's a good time.
Should we keep drinking beer?
Let me answer your question.
I guess that means yes.
That's a yes.
Well, we do have a beer, and now I chose this beer for a weird reason, and that is because this is our New Year, Old Year podcast. It's kind of like past year and future year. It's 2020 and 2021 at the same time because it's
Well,
right
sort of, but I mean, this will come out on Monday, and it's not yet 2021 on Monday.
What is it?
It's still 2020. It's the 28th of December.
Well, I know it come out, but I'm just saying the podcast itself extends through the whole year, the whole week, which the new year falls
Happens on
in
Friday.
the week.
It happens on Friday.
Right.
So Friday is the first. You're right. Okay, I get it.
It's
I
the
see
end of
what
the
you're
year
saying.
and the beginning of the year podcast.
So this is the last
Not
podcast
that complicated.
of the year. Stop it. I've been drinking.
Okay.
So what we're drinking today on the podcast, thankfully it's only 4.9% alcohol because I do have to drive home, is it's an amber style lager. It's called 90s, baby.
And that's why I got it, because it's sort of
What?
it's sort of year themed, you know?
Oh, sort of. Yeah,
90s.
Yeah. It's decade themed.
Yeah, even though now you were alive in the 90s, and I was. What were you doing in the 90s?
You really want to know?
Crack? Meth?
No,
Crack?
I was actually, so I had my first date with my first husband on May 19th, 1990.
Okay.
So, like mid-year, the first year of the 90s. We then got married in 1998 on May 1st, or May 19th, sorry, 1998. And then by September 2000, we were divorced. So, yeah, so I spent the 90s in a relationship and learning how to be an adult, I guess, really is what I did in the 90s. I learned how to be an adult with somebody, and then I learned how to be an adult on my own.
I just remember thinking, I can't believe the 80s are over. It just seemed weird. Even though, I was born in the 60s and lived through the 70s.
Yeah.
And then, but the 80s I always felt like was my decade. And I really like, that's kind of, I went to college and the music, everything was very influential. The fashion, just socially, everything that was going on.
Yep.
I just felt very influenced by the 80s. And then the 90s happened. And that's, I guess, even though it wasn't, I just felt like that was the beginning of when I stopped being significant in cultural things.
Really?
I mean, you start there's like a new generation comes up.
Yeah.
And things aren't yours anymore. So I felt like even like music, like grunge music of the 90s.
You're 10 years older than me, so.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. I'm just saying the things that came out now, and I'm not saying I wasn't completely alienated from the 90s, but just the music that came out, I know that
It changed. It didn't sound the same.
well, there was some rap music and hip hop music in the 80s, but it was just starting. And 90s was when it was really starting to be perfected. And I felt like that was not my music. So the hip hop and rap was sort of like
But then grunge started
metal
in the 90s too.
Yeah.
So, you like some of that.
Yeah, but it wasn't my era music.
Right,
so
right.
like when you look at the and I think of the movie Singles as being a 90s movie about grunge and 90s style, and that was sort of your decade. That was sort of your people. That was like my wife's people. It was like people younger than me.
Well, yeah, because we're both a decade younger than you.
Yeah.
But also, I just thought of something like, okay, so like emo, style came out.
That was like 2000.
Yeah. But what I was thinking is that like emo
Mm-hmm.
is like the regeneration of new wave on a darker level.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Emo was what I would say would be I keep now the word grunge is stuck in my head. It was punk music with
Emotions.
too much emotions.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to, and I can't think of the word. I'll think about it. If I was like really quiet, I could think about it.
But we're doing a podcast, so you can't
goth.
be really. Okay.
So it was punk goth mixed.
With some pop behind it, here and there.
Well, punk could be poppy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
but I mean, I would say emo. To me, the godfathers of emo was Green Day. Even though some people wouldn't call them emo, I feel like they ushered in emo.
Okay.
So they started, but like Green Day kind of resurrected punk.
Pop punk.
Yeah, well, they made it more poppy.
Yeah.
But they brought in, they kind of redid punk, and then emo sort of kind of took over from there. Even though Green Day wasn't they like a '90s band?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then, but emo was more 2000s.
Yeah.
Emo was like, so the emo bands, and I'll never like Good Charlotte.
Mm-hmm. Would you call Violent Femmes emo, or would you call them?
No, Violent Femmes were 80s
Yeah,
band.
but what would you call them?
They were a college band.
Yeah.
They were alternative. That's what we called it back then.
Okay.
Yeah, they had a punk element to them. Sure.
Yeah. All right.
I guess we should taste the beer.
I did.
Did you?
I did because you were talking.
I haven't tasted my 90s baby.
You should taste your 90s baby. That's disgusting. Also, I didn't mention yet, and I will do so now. This is
not what I thought.
This is by Tantrum Brewing Company,
yeah.
and they are out of Cleveland, Georgia. Have you
I was
found?
just there.
I think every state has a Cleveland.
I think so.
I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was just there. Maybe that's where did I get this beer?
Maybe you picked it up there.
No.
But this is supposed to be crisp coffee caramel. Mm-hmm. So, what do you taste so far?
I was pleasantly surprised just now when I sipped it. Did you say? Well, you wouldn't. It's a Southern thing. Instead of saying sip, they say sup.
Yeah, I don't do that.
Yeah.
If I use the word sup, I'm talking about eating.
Or what's up? Sup.
Or sup. Yeah, with apostrophe S-U-P.
Okay.
Anyways, moving on.
That was our little 90s spiel.
And I guess I did. So I did a lot of drugs when I was younger.
When you say a lot, do you mean like decent amount or like a lot?
Depends on when you're asking. If you're asking about the 80s, like the mid to late 80s.
When you were 5?
Lot.
Really?
A lot. I
Well,
started.
you were born in the mid 70s. How could you be doing drugs in the mid 80s?
I started using methamphetamines when I was 11.
It's ridiculous.
And got onto crystal around that same time. And I did crystal until I moved to Alaska, which is when I was 15, off and on. Not as much towards the end, but there was a time when I was doing it every single day. And then after I moved to Alaska, I found myself in another position a couple years into it where I was doing meth again every day for a couple of years. But when I was 18, that's basically when I stopped using drugs.
You remember Smarties? You know Smarties?
Yeah.
Those candies?
Yeah.
That's what I did. I was on Smarties.
Did you snort Smarties?
No, I just sucked on them. I sucked Smarties.
But here's the thing: is that sometime between 1980, which would have been like third grade, I guess, and 1996, all of that is just kind of this huge, convoluted blur in my life.
Wow.
And so I really have to think, like, what were the years I was in high school? Like, I have to remember what those years were in order to picture where I was and what I was doing. Or when did I move to Alaska? And I can tell you it was February 1990. So
You're a 90s baby.
I guess so. I mean, I guess so. I learned how to be an adult in the 90s. That's all I know. I didn't learn well. Like, I didn't learn how to be a good adult. I just learned how to be an adult.
There's no such thing.
Oh, okay.
Everybody stumbles their way through it.
Suddenly you're old enough to have to pay for things.
I've never done an illegal drug that I'm aware of. I've never done any drugs that are illegal.
Really?
I barely do legal ones. But
That
as
is
you
true.
know, we talked about before. It was just like I had thought about for a while. I was just like I wanted to because I never smoked pot. It was
Right.
like maybe I want to do it. And then I
Yeah.
thought, ooh, that'd be fun if I did it on the show.
Right.
And we talked
Are
about
you
it.
high now?
No.
Oh.
What does that mean? I just got finished saying.
No, I thought you were going to be like, and so I did it.
No, but what I was saying is, because then we talked about it, and then I was like, nah, I don't want to. But like the other day, I was just like, oh, maybe that would be a good show. Maybe I should. Maybe we should do a show.
I can get us some edibles.
I don't know if I would want to smoke it or if I would want to eat it.
Well, you're very into smoking, as you know,
I
like
shouldn't
with
be,
things
but
like
I kinda-
cigars and
yeah.
stuff. You get a little
I
obsessed.
haven't smoked a cigar or any kind of tobacco or anything in a long, long
Right,
time.
right. So you might get some enjoyment out of that. The only problem with smoking pot is it makes you cough like a bitch,
Yeah,
and
I
it's
don't need
not
that.
comfortable,
I don't need
and
that.
it doesn't feel good. So I've if I'm gonna do anything like any kind of marijuana, which I haven't done in a couple of years, I would say go the edible route.
Can I put it on a hooker's nipple?
Do you know a hooker?
No.
Then no.
But I mean, I feel like, you got to make it fun. If you can't smoke it, you might as well put it on a hooker's nipple. I feel like that should be a band.
A hooker's nipple?
Hooker's nipple.
Do you know what I found funny? Because today, okay, again, it's Christmas Day. One of our favorite movies to watch at Christmas is The Lion in Winter. We always thought it was like this 3-hour-long movie. It's only 2 hours
little
and
longer than
15
2.
minutes. Yeah. But man, there's so much packed into it. It
Yeah.
feels like it could be 3 hours.
That's a great movie.
But at one point, when Queen Eleanor is looking at herself in the mirror with all that jewelry, and she has that one beautiful piece that she like kind of hangs here, and she's like, I would hang you from the nipples, but we would frighten the children.
Yeah.
That was in 1968.
The movie itself was?
The movie came out in 1968.
I wonder if they did nipple jewelry in, what was that, 1182?
The movie was set in 1182.
Yeah.
And the fact that Queen Eleanor of Aquitaine would say something like, I would hang you from the nipples, but we would shock the children in 1182.
I feel like that Katharine Hepburn was the kind of person who would actually would do nipple jewelry.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally, yeah. And she's gorgeous in that movie.
is.
She's there's so much eye candy in that movie. You've got not only this beautiful Katharine Hepburn, who was 61 years old
Yeah.
when they filmed that movie and looks amazing.
Yeah.
Then you've also got Peter O'Toole, very strong.
I would have sworn he was in his 50s. I find out today he's 36, which I never would have guessed.
And he did such a great job
Yeah,
pulling off a 50-year-old.
I would have sworn he was 50.
Yeah. And then you've got Anthony Hopkins. You've got
Dalton,
what's his first name?
Timothy.
Dalton, and he's just fucking gorgeous in that movie.
Wow, use the profanity there.
Fucking gorgeous.
Wow.
That jawline. I mean, come on. And then who plays the other guy?
I don't know.
Okay, but there's lots of eye candy.
Nigel Terry played John.
I don't like John. He's the only ugly thing. That's what I was gonna say. He's like the only ugly part of the whole
Well,
movie.
too, it's kind of like what's his name in Scrooge, your Scrooge guy.
Albert Finney.
Yeah, he distorts his face on purpose.
Yes, and I think that the youngest kid of a king would be this pouty little brat kid.
Yeah.
You would think.
Yeah.
Especially when his dad favors him. Not that that's a spoiler from the movie because that comes out in like the first act, but it was a play.
Yeah.
And they made a movie, and just so many things. Every time I watch it, and I've watched it a lot, I catch something new.
Yeah.
And that whole "I would hang you from the nipples" thing was what I caught today.
That's the only role I would come out of acting retirement to do. Actually, one of two. I would do that, but I don't think anymore I would do it. It's just too physical. It would take too much prep to do it, and as much fun as it would be to do that, I just don't think vocally I could do it.
No.
And I don't think physically I could do it anymore. There was a time I could, but I can't anymore.
The strength of 36-year-old Peter O'Toole's vocal ability and his physical ability and his intensity just in his eyes, you
Can do it.
couldn't do it. And I don't mean that in a derogatory way. I just think that maybe 20 years ago you absolutely could have done it. Maybe not now.
All right. So, how was your Christmas? What happened? Did you have a good one?
Yeah, I came over here.
You hung out here.
So I came over here yesterday. Our tradition is that I spend the night here in your guest room. putting my own sheets on the bed because that's my job, which is fine. At least they were clean.
I think someone else would have done it.
No,
but you said no.
No, totally.
You brought your pup.
It's part of my job.
Your dog came over.
Yep, because y'all feed me, you give me alcohol. I might as well put my own sheets on the bed. But yeah, we stayed up yesterday, not terribly late because y'all are old and went to bed early.
We always go to bed early.
And yeah, we had a good time.
I get up at 3 a.m. a lot.
That's just weird.
If I want to.
So did you hear me get up in the middle of the night with Toffee?
I did not.
Okay, so that was about 3, 4 maybe.
Okay.
I got up. So, okay, I did bring my dog, and I brought her up to sleep with me in the upstairs bedroom. And in the middle of the night, she had to go out. And that's not normal for her because here lately, she sleeps all the way through the night. But new place and excitement, you know. So I got up, and I took her out to go potty, and she came back in, and she jumped up on the couch. And I was like, no, honey, we got to go back upstairs and go to bed. Nope, not having it. So guess what I had to do?
Sleep downstairs with the dog.
No, I picked her ass up, her 78-pound ass, off the couch and brought her to the bottom of the stairs and like made her go up the stairs. Once we were there, she was fine. She went up the stairs.
Yeah.
But I was just like, I'm tired. I'm going back to bed. I can't leave you down here by yourself. We're going. So.
And then Santa came.
Santa did king.
Okay. Santa came and brought a lot of presents. So today we opened gifts. And that was kind of fun.
Yeah.
Watched some specials and all that kind of fun stuff. So it's been a pretty good Christmas. And then I don't know what I'm going to do. I think this is going to be the mildest New Year thing. You're not going to go dancing and get poked in the eye again this year, are you?
No.
We usually go to a cabin on New Year's. That's kind of our tradition.
Is that not
this year,
gonna
not.
happen?
Nope. I think we're talking about maybe in January going down to the beach.
You could always just pitch a tent in the backyard.
No.
Pretend you're at a cabin.
No. It's too much poop back there.
Oh, that's true.
But yeah, we may. I think we're going to go to the beach. Maybe that might be kind of fun.
Yes, I love the idea of being on the northeast coast around this time of year would be where I would want.
Well,
to
I
be.
think we're going to do maybe Florida or something, just for the heck of it. That might be kind of fun.
Okay.
So yeah, and then it is the new year, and then we always say we're not going to do this, and but I'm curious if you set any goals. We won't say resolutions, but have you set
those
any?
Are silly.
Have you set any goals? I wouldn't say silly, but I just feel like resolutions tend to not work.
That's why they're silly for me. It's because there's no point for me to set a resolution.
But I'm just wondering if
it ain't happening.
If you've set any goals, like for your life goals for next year.
Yes, as a matter of fact, and I decided as soon as I decided what that goal was going to be, I started on it already. I started last month.
Oh yeah.
Yep. My goal is to lose a little bit of weight.
What?
Yeah, because I'm heavy. But I did finally replace the batteries in my scale, and I'm actually not any heavier than I was prior to isolation, prior to quarantine. I've actually lost a couple pounds.
I think I've gained this year. Yeah.
I don't know how that happened. I guess I just kind of have this weird kind of fluctuation within this like 5-pound area, and I just stay there. Sometimes I go a little bit above it, but then I get back down.
Do you have a plan for how you're going to do that?
Yes. I've started intermittent fasting.
Oh.
Yeah.
I did that for a while.
We talked about this, I think, on one of our last podcasts. So what I do is for work, I get up about 6:30 in the morning, and I don't allow myself to eat anything until like 1 in the afternoon. And then I can't eat anything after 8 p.m.
Yeah, that works.
And it's actually, I feel so much better.
Yeah.
Obviously, this weekend I've kind of blown that out the window, because
Yeah,
it's a holiday.
Christmas holiday, you're allowed.
But I will get back to it, and it's not something that is work, really.
No.
It's really healthy for me. It feels good, and it's something I can stick with. My plan is to go ahead and do that again for the month of January, for the whole month. That's the only change I'm going to make, and it's not really a change because I'm already doing it. But at the end of January, beginning of February, if I have maintained my intermittent fasting every day, then I'm going back to when I do eat, I'm eating a keto diet.
A keto?
Keto diet.
Oh.
Not a keto like the dog.
That's a keto, but a keto
diet.
is like a martial art. So I was like, okay.
That's a weird diet. Just beat yourself up. That's how I live every day. But no, I'm going to go with a keto plan.
Okay.
And, and try and keep my healthy fats up, my carbs way down, and my proteins moderate.
Okay.
Because that's the kind of food I like to eat anyways. I'm not a huge bread or pasta person, really. So I think I'll be all right. But that's really my only goal, is to work on myself. Also, one of my goals, and I've up until this weekend, I was doing really good with it, was cutting back on the drinking.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's also something that's difficult to do during the holidays.
Yeah. So yesterday and today, yes, I've had a bit to drink, and that's fine. But like, I'm not drinking during the week at home. And if I do end up having a drink, that's normally a drink. And then when I do allow myself some alcohol on the weekends, I don't overdo it. So I've actually saved a lot of money.
That's good.
Also super fun. My car is paid off.
Paid off car is always good.
Paid off car.
All right, let's stop here.
Okay.
Let's play a little Would You Rather.
Okay.
I got something for Christmas I was going to use, and I left it downstairs, so I can't do it.
Oh, yeah. So you got a gift from your wife.
Yeah, it's it's kind of like Would You Rather.
It's like a dilemma.
Yeah, so we'll do it next week.
Okay.
All right, so drop a stone. I feel like you're going to do a green one this time. Green? You're peeking. You peaked.
I didn't peek.
All right, red, you dropped red, which is pain, fear, discomfort. Would you rather, at a restaurant, have a table that rocks back and forth because the legs aren't level?
I hate that.
Or a chair that does the same thing? That's one of the most boring questions we've had in a while.
But they're both super annoying.
Yeah.
Like if you're sitting at a table, like I tend to do the elbows on the table thing. And if I put my elbows on the table and you lift yours and the table does this, and every time we put our elbows on the table, I hate that. I
feel like every table I ever get at a restaurant does that.
Really?
Yeah.
But in the chair, I could see how that would be super annoying too.
Well, I like rocking chairs, so that works for me.
True. I think I would choose the chair.
Yeah.
Rather than the table, because at least your drinks won't spill.
It just seems like such a stupid dilemma. Do you want a rocking chair or a rocking table?
How about I just rock?
Yeah.
Back and forth.
Rock.
In the corner.
All right, here we go. Dropping one. I was going to predict yellow, but I'm not going to anymore.
Because it's blue. So, blue is appearance and embarrassment. Does your appearance embarrass you?
What?
Does your appearance embarrass you?
And everyone else.
Okay. Would you rather always have a little black piece of spinach stuck between your teeth?
Always?
I've already asked you this one. Or a booger in the nose every time you breathe.
Why are you I think you're putting them back in the front instead of putting them in the back.
I don't think I am. Here, let me just grab another one. Because I've already asked you that one. Okay. Would you rather have nose hair that grows at the rate of an inch an hour?
Holy crap.
Or ears that are constantly spinning? That's just stupid. Whose
It is
ears
stupid.
spin?
I don't know. I'll pick that, though.
You'd go with the spinny ears?
Why not?
Because it's fun. But what happens, though, if you put your earbuds in and then the wires get all wrapped up in your ear?
I don't know. I just feel like you would need earbuds then.
You would.
If your ears spin, you could. I don't know. I feel like if it's nose hair that's growing, you could sell it like at a rope factory or something.
Or you could donate to the
Kids who don't have nose hair.
Right.
I see what you're saying.
Wigs for nose.
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
All right. Would you rather for a day? Another day. Another podcast. Thank you. So, wrapping it up with the year. What did you? Any highlights from the year? Any? And this has been
This is 2020, and you're asking me for highlights.
Yeah. In the podcast, did we do anything fun? I can't even remember what we did in the podcast. We said we were going to read Aaron's letter, and we didn't.
One of the fun things that we...
Let's start the new year.
Okay.
Reading Aaron's letter.
Making promises.
Yeah.
And keeping them. So I would say one of my highlights, podcast-wise, of this year was when we did a dual podcast with ESO Network.
That was fun.
That was fun for Halloween,
yeah.
and we told stories and
I think
stuff.
we should do that again next year. Maybe.
Yeah, I think so too. Or something along those lines. Maybe with a little better
I think within the next couple of months, when COVID starts getting more under control, I think we've been talking to Mike Faber, who's been on the show before, a couple times, and maybe having him come up.
We've already got something in mind.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it'll be fun. What I do have, as far as highlights are concerned, are jokes for you. Can
Those
I tell
aren't
you
highlights.
those? Yeah, they're highlights.
They're not even highlights.
Serious highlights. Okay. So, one guy says to the other guy, I've finally started carpooling to work.
Oh, yeah?
And the other guy says, I'm afraid to carpool. Well, why are you afraid? I'm afraid the car will get trapped in a tunnel, and with all the people inside, I won't be able to get out. That's a very specific fear. Is there a name for it? And he says, yes, it's carpool tunnel syndrome. Come on. That's good stuff. That's good stuff right there. Very good stuff.
What is your definition of good stuff?
What I just read.
Weird stuff.
Okay, I've got another one for you. Sad news. I broke up with my girlfriend, Lorraine.
Oh, yeah?
She found out I was seeing another girl named Claire Lee.
All right. I could feel this coming. All right. And then what happened?
Good news, though.
Oh, yeah?
I can see Claire Lee now. Lorraine is gone.
You have to say that in the pattern of the song.
I can see Claire Lee now. Lorraine is gone.
See?
But people got it. People aren't stupid.
I don't know that they did get it, but all right.
How about this one?
No.
I bought my wife a prosthetic foot for Christmas this year.
It's kind of like my Hallmark movie last year.
I told her it was a stocking stuffer.
Dang.
Come on. It's good shit. What do you call a Christmas wreath made with $100 bills?
My present, hopefully.
Aretha Franklin's. Where's my... Come here. Yay. Yay.
Aretha's rolling over in her grave now.
She loves me. Don't worry about it. What are your highlights from the year?
I don't know. I didn't have such a bad year. I feel like it was equal to everybody else's. I mean, equal to every other year. A lot of people made this out to be the worst year ever. I don't know. I know it was inconvenient. There were things I would have loved to have done some of the events that I always do here.
Yeah.
Didn't get to do any of those. But whatever. It's I don't know. And then how people are setting it up like finally 2020 is over and 2021 is out there and it's going to be so much better. It's like, well, you don't know. Years don't exist. There's no such thing as a year. It's not like you have a package where the events just happen in that little time period.
Right.
And that's 2020.
Right.
And then you get another package and the event, that's all conceptual.
Yeah.
It's just time.
Because a year from now will be a year from now.
And bad things are going to happen this coming year.
And then a year from March 13th
Good
will be
things.
March 13th. It's a year.
It seems
it's still
like
a year.
it's a lot of really terrible things happened this year.
I had a friend who actually had he's my age, and he had 4 friends pass away this year.
One of my good friends just recently, like within the past few weeks, did. Cancer, not even COVID.
Right. And that also, with him, it was most of his friends that he lost were due to something.
It happens. It could be me. Could be you.
Could be me.
Things happen. Things will happen.
Yep.
But, that's what you do. You live every day. You try to live every day.
And I'm not going to use the word funny. What's interesting is that when we lose a friend like that or we have something, traumatic or horrible happen during 2020, we all do the whole, well, it's 2020, right? Well, what if it happened last year? What if it happens next year? What are we going to say? It's just because this year is unprecedented in the fact that we've never, as a society, had to go through this since, 1918. Or not, was it 1918? Yes, 1918 with the Spanish flu. Doesn't mean that just because everything that bad happens is because of how we're living right now. They're separate things. It feels like it's just something piling on, and it just feels like everything bad, you could say, well, it's 2020. But at the same time, if you think about it, go back 8 years, or at this point, 12 years, and when everybody was like, thanks, Obama, right? It didn't have anything to do with that.
Well, it's a personal thing. I mean, there are people who had a baby, their first baby this year, and to them, this is like the best year so far
because
ever.
They're so
or they got
happy.
married.
Yeah.
They
won the lottery.
There are people who lost. There are people who had horrible things happen.
Yep.
And those people, I know people who lost people family members
Yes.
this year for various reasons, and those people think this is a horrible year. And it just depends on where you are.
Yeah.
I've said it before, but I just, years ago, and about this time years ago, when the tsunami happened, that was 2011.
Mm-hmm.
I remember watching video footage of these people being swept away.
Yeah.
Horrible, just going down the street trying to find things to grasp.
Yeah.
They were caught in this mud thing, and they were doomed. There's nothing they can do.
Mm-hmm.
And you're watching that, and then I just look, and there's like birds sitting on a wire above it, just watching it all happen down below.
Mm-hmm.
And to the birds, it's just like, oh, look,
Something's happening.
yeah, it meant nothing to them.
Yeah.
And I just feel like it's your perspective. Whatever your perspective is, whatever's happening to you, it's always a personal thing.
I agree.
And really, and I'm not saying you shouldn't feel that way, but you always have to realize that life is huge. Life is big. The world, the same day, the worst thing that's ever happened to you is happening. The best thing that's ever happened to someone else is happening.
At that moment.
And it's just life.
It's just life.
Always life.
Yep.
I don't want to lose anybody that's important to me, but I will, and I will be gone one day, and they'll be gone. And it's a race to see when it's going to happen.
And why worry about it? Because it's going to happen.
Well, I feel like, okay, so I don't want to make this personal, and I have a friend. I was actually going to invite her on the podcast. 2 years ago, she started having a really severe backache, and she went to the doctor, and the doctor said, we need to do some tests, and did tests, and said, you have pancreatic cancer.
Yeah, that sucks ass.
Which is everybody who gets that, it's done.
Yep.
Well, they said, for her, this is a different kind, and we caught it early enough to where we think we can, you've got a good chance of surviving.
Mm-hmm.
So she went through a year of going through like treatments and everything. And at the end of the year, they basically said it was gone. She was done. It was over. And so she came out, she did chemo, and she came out, and she was feeling great.
Nice.
And then I guess it was last year, or was it this year? I think it might have been this year. Early on this year, they found more tumors in her body.
Yep.
Lung, and some other things.
Yep.
And at that point, I was like, oh, God, that's not good.
No.
And she had to go back for more chemo. She had just gotten finished with chemo and do all of that. And then I would say last month, she on Facebook said her doctor told her she had 6 months. In 2 weeks after that, she died.
Do you think? I mean, I'm
it was
sorry.
just that quick. I'm just saying. Saying. 1 year, everything is great.
Yep.
You have a little backache.
Yep.
And then 2 years later, you're gone.
Yep.
And it can go that quick.
And what if she hadn't gone to the doctor for her backache?
Right. Yeah.
Would she have died earlier?
Probably.
But, and I'm sorry for your loss, but.
It's not my loss.
Well, you lost a friend.
The world lost somebody.
That's right. You're right. But let me ask you this, because I had a friend in Alaska, an acquaintance really, who found out, he was a radio personality, and he found out that he had cancer, and 3 weeks later he was dead. Yeah. With like very few symptoms. Like he wasn't, like he could have just not found out at all. Like if he hadn't gone to that doctor appointment that day and like scheduled it for next month, he'd have been dead before next month. Or would he have? And this is what I'm asking. Do you think that being given a prognosis or a time frame, you've got 3 months to live, you've got 6 months to live, do you think that does something to a person?
I do, yeah.
Where they just give up?
And again, it's not something I think you can say for sure. It's different people react different ways.
Yeah.
Some people have taken a 6-month diagnosis and turned it into 6 years because they said no way. Yep. Other people just give up.
Yep.
I don't know. I think each is wrong. And I know that, like, my friend announced that they told her 6 months, and 2 weeks later she was gone.
And that's why I'm asking if, like,
I don't know. I don't know. Honestly, I don't know medically what happened to her. I haven't gotten the full story.
Sure.
So she could have gotten COVID. She could have gotten something else. She could have just, her body could have just shut down. I don't know.
Right.
I don't know the whole facts of it. But I do think that mentally, and I've thought about it. I don't know if I had a terminal thing. I don't even know if I would want to know.
I don't know either.
I mean, there's something to say about getting prepared.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I don't know.
Maybe
I wouldn't just sit on my ass and watch Hallmark movies all day.
Which you've been doing for 6
Might get up and do something.
But yeah, having that time and knowing what that time frame might be to put your affairs in order would be helpful.
Well, I'm always saying, my wife and I are saying, let's go do a little tour of New England and spend some time up there. And we're like, maybe next year, year after, whatever. I think if I knew I just had 6 months, I would do it today. I'd go.
Let's just do it.
Yeah, let's go have some time. So I don't know.
But, okay, so here's another case study, basically, is my first husband's father was diagnosed, had cancer, and he was given a prognosis of 6 months, and that was in 1996-ish, and I think he lived until, just a couple years ago. And what everybody said about him after the 6 months, and then after the first 2 years, and then after the first 5 years, people were like, it's just because he's so fucking mean. He's just he's not going to allow this to happen. That kind of a thing.
Yeah.
Because he was kind of a big, gruff man, and he was, not having it. But that's not the case. I mean, it is what it is, You can't just say, well, I'm not going to die, put your foot down, and be done with it. He also had chemo done. He had surgeries done. He had, he started taking better care of himself, kind of. He still drank like a fish. But... maybe he was pickled inside. I don't know. Maybe that's why he lasted as long as he did. But he just did what he had to do and said, when it comes, it comes. Yeah. And he wasn't like, oh, this is the end. He just said, okay.
Yeah, I hope that's what I would do. I know I'm going to go. So we're all going to go. And we're all not going to be lucky enough to go when we're 90s.
Right.
So, and we're all we may not all go when we're asleep. So...
it's not going to be pleasant for everybody.
So I just feel, the kind of cliche of living every day like it's your last. I think you have to.
Or at least assume it's your last.
Yeah, just don't. I mean, there's no way you could do every single thing you want to do every day.
Right.
But don't waste days.
But then again, what if that's what I want to do today? What if I want to stay in bed today? What if that's all I want to do today?
Then do it.
Is that a waste?
It kind of is. You're going to be staying in bed the rest of your of the time. I mean, you're going to be laying down. You're just getting a head start.
I'm just getting a head start. That's right.
Whatever happens, even if you're sick, whatever, you're going to have to go to sleep. Your body has to do that. Yeah. But I just feel like, I don't know, just do things you want to do. That's all I'm saying. And do that anyway.
And you don't have to smile every day, and you don't have to get up and
not if you don't want to.
Grab life by the balls. You don't have to do that every day. If that's not what you're feeling, don't do it.
If I'm sick, I would probably I would smoke cigarettes. I would eat a lot of food that's not good for me, and I would grab my balls a lot more.
or have other people do it.
Yeah, definitely. The hookers with
stuff on their nipples.
Yeah, I would do. Yeah. I would definitely do that. And I'm all for that. And I think as you get older, you start feeling it. It's just like, I don't know why anybody would want to do anything that they just don't want to do.
Yeah.
We only get one life.
Yeah.
And there's no rules really in this life. And especially if you live in the United States where you have so many more freedoms than other people do. Why would you ever want to spend any amount of time doing things you don't want to do?
I have a job. I mean...
But you have a job right now, but you also have an infinite amount of other jobs if you wanted to go there.
True.
It's just a matter of, do you want to take the time to do it? And you could probably find something you would love so much more if you took the time.
Yeah.
You might not find it instantly, but I'm just saying, start moving towards doing the things that you want to do if you don't like what you're doing now.
Yeah.
Or spend the rest of your time bitching about it. One of the two.
Quietly, so I don't have to hear you.
So one of the things that I want to do this year, I don't know how or what I want to do. I want to start a new podcast.
So like a brand new podcast?
Yeah, I wasn't going to discuss that here on the podcast, but now I want to. No, I was thinking about bringing back the Life in a Kill podcast.
But you and I talked about that.
I thought that I wanted to do that for a lot of reasons. I still haven't completely ruled it out.
Okay.
But I started thinking about it. The other day I watched something. I can't remember what it was or where I watched it, but it just suddenly hit me. I was like, why would I be the person to want to do a podcast about kilts? I'm not a kilt expert. I'm not Scottish. I'm not. I had an incident with a kilt for a while, the year in a kilt thing. But that doesn't make me a kilt expert. So why would I want to be the one to do a kilt podcast? Wouldn't I just let other people I think there are some people who kilt makers who have podcasts and stuff. Well, let them do it.
Yeah.
They know more about kilts than I do.
Of course.
So then I was just like, okay, well, that kills that. And now I don't know where I want to go, what I want to do. I want to do a fun podcast that is a solo thing. We do ours, and this is fun, but I kind of want to do something that's a solo thing, and I don't know what I want to do now.
I do too. I want to do a solo one.
I think it's a different feel. You can kind of do your own thing on it, but now I don't know what I want to do.
But you don't have like a deadline. You can do what you want to do when you want to do it. If you want to, start tomorrow riffing or something, do it. If you want to wait and plan it out for the next 6 months and then start, do it. It's not like somebody's telling you if you don't start, by this deadline, you're not going to succeed.
Well, I think the key to doing, and I've always said this, and we did this, is take something that you're really interested in and focus on it. And so we did the Life in a Kilt podcast at first because we both kind of had an interest in it. I was going through the kilt thing at the time, and we both had an interest in that. We did it. And then I think as I started moving out, we felt like, well, we've done everything we can do here.
Yeah, because it's very niche.
So we started, during that podcast, we started finding things that we liked doing more. And so we just said, let's do that. Let's go ahead and start putting the kilt thing behind. And that's fun. And so that works, and we're still doing it. And I got to find that thing that I want to do solo.
Yep. Something that you don't need to bounce off of somebody else.
And I don't yet know what it is. And I mean, I guess you would say, well, then why do one? But I just feel like that I enjoy doing what we do, and I think I could get enjoyment doing as solo, but I got to figure out what that is.
Yeah. And maybe don't think too hard on it. And,
I'm not.
And maybe just let it come to you.
But I was thinking of starting it in January, like for the new year. And so now...
So you've given yourself a deadline.
Well, I mean, I just wanted to kick off at the beginning of the year, and now I'm not doing that. I don't know. So I don't know. Anybody got any suggestions? Go ahead and send them to me. I mean...
Well, wouldn't that be somebody else's idea?
No, I'm up to other ideas. I mean, somebody might go, how about this? And then I go, oh, yeah, that'd be cool. So there are certain things that I'm interested in, and I don't mind doing interviews. I mean, even if it's a solo show, doing interviews. So, I used to have a big interest in stand-up comedy. But there are so many comedy podcasts. I just don't think I want to do that.
Yeah.
And I'm a professional artist, but to me, I'm a visual artist, so I just don't see an Audible podcast working as a visual
but you could
realm.
make a vlog or a
don't want
video.
to.
Oh, you don't?
And it's also expensive. It just, I mean, it's hard enough doing the audio here and then uploading it, and doing it on video, it would just be so much pain.
Okay.
So I don't know that I want to do that. I've had a couple of other, like even doing fiction or poetry or even sketches, not just sketch comedy, but just like almost like radio shows, just short little things. I've thought about that. I don't know. I don't know what people would find interesting. I don't know. I'm still thinking about it.
Do you know what might be fun? And I don't know how long this would last, but if you were to start like a workshop, like where you workshop an idea. So you start a story and you ask other authors or, writers, whether they be professionals or amateurs, to come in and workshop a story with you. And then you collaborate and come up with a story. And you could do it via audio if you wanted to, or some other means. Maybe that might be something more for a blog, like a written media. But that might be fun.
Yeah.
Unless you don't want to share, your creative spark.
I don't know. I feel like the more you rely on other people to do the podcast, then you're trapped because it's kind of like with us. we have to get our schedules together.
Yeah.
We have to make sure that
Yeah,
we've
you're right.
researched and do it. And so you're always relying on that other thing. And if it's just me, then it's just me. And I still want to do some interviews, but I don't want the podcast to center around someone else's work.
I got you.
Where I've got to have them to do something before they can come in. So
I got you.
I have a couple of ideas. I just don't know yet if I'm going to develop those ideas and if that's a direction I want to go. But we'll see. I don't know.
Well, keep us informed. If you do start a new podcast, please
You're
let us know.
thinking you might want to do one too?
I'm thinking I might. And mine will not be an hour long. Mine
Might be 15 minutes.
Exactly.
That's what I'm thinking.
That's where I'm thinking, because solo, like, it's just me talking.
Yeah.
And you hear enough of me talking on this podcast. So, like, whatever it is that I choose to put out into the world, I don't need to put a lot of it out there. I was thinking something like, just thoughts for the day, that kind of a thing. Just, questions, musings, if you will. Just kind of putting that out there and see how that goes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it'd be on our network.
Yep. Which is the...
Violet Jester Media.
That's us.
Podcast. All right. I don't know. Was this a boring end of the year podcast? I don't think it was. I mean,
I don't think so. We're winding down.
We're
It's-
relaxing.
Yeah.
We've been Christmasing today. It is Christmas, and I didn't want to go too heavy.
People have probably already had their dinners, which we haven't. So
Yeah.
they're just like sitting around going, oh.
Well, okay, let's just go ahead and close it down. I feel like that we will be introducing some new. We've talked about some new spots that we might be doing on the show, and we might be doing some new little things, and we could talk about that maybe next week when the new season starts. Our new season, podcast season starts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would. You know what I would be interested in bringing back for this year for the
What?
podcast?
What?
Maybe.
What?
You're so weird.
I don't know.
Maybe showcasing some different musical.
Yeah,
artists?
maybe. Well, not only that, but I do feel like we've talked about it, but we've got to do more interviews.
Yeah.
I mean, listener interviews.
Mm-hmm.
We have some interesting listeners, and then celebrity kind of stuff too.
Mm-hmm.
So that is something that we've got to bring in.
I agree.
Okay. Well, let's tell people quickly where they can find us. It's epicdisaster@gmail.com. You
That's
can
how
send
you
us,
can reach us.
That's how you can send us your dreams, your hopes, your criticisms, your whatever.
Weird desires.
Let us know.
Yeah.
But we're on Facebook, we're on Instagram, and Twitter, and YouTube, and all of that good stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Also, one of our listeners, I don't know that I will reveal names, but ordered one of my pet caricatures this week.
Nuh-uh.
Yeah.
Really?
I say one of, really three of his pets I'm going to be doing.
Wow.
So if you want to, if you think you might want to do that, beastsofbaldwin.com. You could find that there.
And that's not just a holiday thing. That's
That's
going on.
permanent.
It's going to
All
be a
the time.
thing all the time.
And also just buying art is kind of cool.
If someone comes to you at beastsofbaldwin.com and they say, I don't have, a dog or a cat, but I have a wife, would you caricature a wife
I would consider it, maybe, possibly.
or a
It's
husband?
not what I'm
or
doing,
a
but
kid,
I might. I
or,
don't know.
you know,
Maybe.
a dad.
I might. It's a little different, but yeah, I might.
Okay.
But yeah, that's cool. I want to thank the person who knows who the person is.
They know who they are.
And you know who you are.
You know who you are.
But that's cool. And yeah, but you can follow us and, subscribe, listen to our stuff, give us some suggestions about the show.
Yay.
Tell us how your Christmas was.
Do it.
But there you go. Okay.
So let's talk about what we're
Talk
drinking.
about the brewski. 90s, baby.
It's called 90s Baby. I kind of like the artwork, but at the same time, the artwork...
That looks so 80s.
It looks 80s.
It
it's
doesn't
very
look 90s.
80s. It doesn't look 90s at
No,
all,
it
unless
looks
you're
like
like 1990.
That's like
maybe.
80s video game.
But if it's 1990,
Yeah,
maybe. But anything after that, no. It's by Tantrum Brewing Company, and they are out of Cleveland, Georgia. It says it's crisp coffee caramel, and I'll be honest with you. Okay, so it is an amber style lager.
Yep.
I don't get coffee and I don't get caramel.
Oh.
I get, hold on. A little bit of coffee. No caramel.
Okay.
It is kind of crisp, but it's not. It's got some bitter to it too. Do you
really?
Do you taste that?
No.
Really? Okay. Weird.
Maybe the bitterness comes from your soul.
I mean, that's very possible.
I will tell you, I taste the coffee a lot.
Oh, okay.
And it is not what I would call a sweet beer, but I maybe have a little bit of caramel, but definitely coffee. I don't taste any bitter. I find the taste of it very pleasant. It wasn't what I thought it was going to be, but I really like the flavor of it.
You know what it probably is before we came up here to do this, I was having a B52 over ice.
Okay.
Which is
Kate Pearson?
No.
Cindy Wilson?
Unfortunately, no.
Fred Schneider?
All of the above, I wish, but no. This was actually, a B52. It's Kahlua, Bailey's, and
wow, very chocolatey.
yeah, and coffee too, because I use Kimura instead of Kahlua, which I actually prefer. But since I had that prior to coming up here, maybe that's because that's so coffee. Maybe I'm not tasting it.
Okay.
I'd have to taste it again, but you did get a 6-pack, so maybe I can take one home.
Yeah. I will definitely drink this again. I really enjoyed it.
Good. So what are you going to give it?
I'm giving it a 3.5.
Okay.
And that's a good 3.5. I mean, I would consider giving it a 4.
But we've been doing high ratings.
I know. And I'm not penalizing the beer because of that. It's just kind of your standard beer. It would go good with almost any I don't know. I say it would go good with almost any food, but it is a little bit, I wouldn't say a dessert beer.
It's got a sweetness.
The coffee kind of thing. It's something I would probably drink more by itself.
Maybe not with food.
Yeah. Right, but I really like the taste. So this is it's one of my favorite, just straight out beers, just regular beers that I've had in a while.
I'll give it a 2.5, and I don't consider that low.
That's pretty low.
Well, what my reason for the 2.5? Shut up. What my reason for the 2.5 is again, it's not that I would never have this again. I would actually like to try it again in a different situation.
Okay.
I don't know that I would have more than one. And like if I have a really good beer, it's the kind of beer that I want to, as soon as it's gone, grab another one.
Right.
So midway. That's what I would call this. Mid-range. Okay. Yeah, for sure.
All right. Well, I find it pleasant, and so mostly positive reviews. So give it a check out if you can.
It's not disgusting. So there's that.
I liked it.
Yeah.
All right, people. Thank you for spending a year with us. We've done another year.
Another year.
Of podcast.
How many years is it now?
Well, I mean, I guess 3 full years.
Are you sure?
I think so.
I think you're right.
Yeah, 3 full years.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Wow.
And that's This Epic Disaster. I mean, we did the other ones for a couple of years too.
Yep.
But this year we had some plans to actually do some live events this year.
Didn't happen.
Which we couldn't do. Obviously, no one can do it.
Right.
So maybe next year things will happen to where that we can actually do some in-person live things locally if you're in the Atlanta area.
Or even one that we had planned for the Knoxville area.
Why are you poking on yourself?
Because I feel like I'm going to belch, and I don't want to belch on the... Yeah.
Okay.
No. Sorry. I'm not poking myself.
So maybe, I guess my point is maybe we will see some of our friends.
Let's hope.
This coming year.
Yes.
And some of the events that we might be able to do.
Yes.
We need to do some sponsoring things, and we just need to get the word out about the show.
Agreed.
Yeah. Okay.
Sorry, I nodded. I didn't speak out loud. I forgot that people can't see me now.
All right, so we're going to wrap it up. Let's say goodbye. Let's say Happy New Year. Let's say be careful. Be safe. Don't be one of the people that we don't get to see anymore. We want to see you.
We want to see you.
If we can.
Send us pictures. Not nudes.
If we're not going to send the nudes if you want. If you're not going to be one of the people that we get to see, then make it good. Have fun. Just leave an impact on this world.
Do it.
Yeah.
Do it.
And we'll try to see you. But one thing for sure, we'll see you next week.
And thank you so much for listening.
All right. Happy New Year. We'll see you.
Bye.
Bye.
This is a Violet Jester Media podcast.